Good morning, everybody. This is Louise Eddington. I'm the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology, and I decided to re-record my presentation for the Solstice Ingress chart and for the 2023 preview and upload it to YouTube. Thanks all that attended live yesterday or registered for the recording. This presentation will not include the shamanic journey and a couple of other things that were on that live presentation, but I decided I want to put the 2023 preview out onto my YouTube channel. So here we go. I'm going to share my slides so you'll get the slideshow. So I've called this the Fool's Journey, the year ahead. And it'll become apparent why as we move through it. But the Fool's Journey is the start of an innocence journey, something really new possibilities, infinite possibilities. And to demonstrate that, well, first of all, you can have a quick look at who I am. If you don't know all about me already, I'm a Sagittarius Sun, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Rising, or very Sagittarius, and a Gemini Moon. There's my 3 books. I'm a mother of 2 daughters. One's 25, one's 22, and I've been married for 25 years, born in the UK. I'm also the creator of the renowned Venus Retrograde Heroine's Journey class. And we do have a Venus retrograde coming up in 2023, but I'll talk more about that when we look at the astrology. So to start the presentation, I thought I picked 3 of my favorite tarot decks, the Fool's card, the Fool card from each of them. Now, the Fool in the tarot is usually the first of the major arcana, and it represents new beginnings, unlimited potential, new ground being broken, new possibilities. It's the 0 card, which is infinite possibilities, the alpha and the omega. And it's also represented by the planet Uranus, which is radical change and breakthroughs and ahas. So that's really the energy of what I'm seeing for the year ahead. And you'll see why as we move through what's happening with the astrology. But I'm not going to go through all the imagery, but just look at them. They're very fresh, very playful. They've got the kitten, they've got the bouncing dog, but they're also saying, you know, kind of watch your step because, you know, new things are being birthed and there could be missteps and so on and so forth. But I actually really love the Fool card in the tarot. It always speaks to me of exciting new beginnings. And that's certainly what we have coming. So before I dive into the astrology of the Ingress chart, we have world points. I want to just go over what they are. The world points are 0 degrees of the cardinal signs Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. We also have 15 degrees of fixed signs and 22.5 degrees of cardinal signs and 7.5 degrees of mutable signs. But the main world points are these. And planets generally that are located at these degrees express their archetypal power on the global stage with very direct and unequivocal force. They are powerful points of new starts. Now the cardinal points, the 0 degrees of the cardinal signs, start all the seasons. So Aries is the spring equinox, Cancer is the summer solstice in the north, and Libra is the fall or autumn equinox in the north, reversed if you're in the south, and Capricorn is the winter solstice here in the north. Okay, the cardinal points begin the seasons of the year at the sacred hoop, and they are about the directions as well that we have in north, south, east, west. So the solstices and equinoxes are on the cardinal points. And I just wanted to point that out because they're really highlighted. Not only are we looking at the solstice ingress chart, there's more reason why this is highlighted. Now, here is the ingress chart for the solstice for Washington, D.C. And, you know, this is a bit US based because the US has been under extreme pressure. The US has been going through its Pluto return. The actual final pass, the exact pass of Pluto back to where it was in 1776 is actually coming up on December the 28th. So we're actually in the final pass of the Pluto return, which is usually kind of a finishing up when it's the final pass of a transit like that, a final pass of transformation. There are other reasons why the well, I live in the US, and I am a United States citizen. But, you know, US is a world leader, and what happens here tends to ripple out. So I did set this for Washington, D.C. And the moment that the sun moved into Capricorn, you can see the arrow on the right-hand side. I'm not going to click on the screen because it moves the slides forward. Is at 0 degrees, and it's right on the descendant of the chart. And it's in a square to Jupiter in Aries, which is up in the top of the chart, the most public part of the chart, and forming a T-square as well to Ceres in Libra, which is in the 4th house, which is really kind of the home or the hearth or the ancestors, and that is forming an exact T-square, or pretty much, bar a few minutes. But not only that, forming a cardinal grand cross is the ascendant. The ascendant is at 0 degrees of Cancer. So we have all 4 of the cardinal points highlighted on the Ingress chart for Washington, D.C. Now, cardinal signs are initiating signs. They start new projects. So this is why I'm calling it the Fool's Journey. We are at this Fool's Journey of a new way of being, I think, in the United States, and that will flow out energetically. Okay. Also, if you have anything around the cardinal points of the chart, then this will really affect you as well. My nodes are actually Aries and Libra, and I have my Ceres at 2 degrees Capricorn, and my ascendant is 28 degrees Sagittarius. So this is right at the midpoint of those two. So yes, I am affected, but where it is in your chart will affect how it feels for you. But looking at the, this cardinal point, this Ingress chart for the USA, I find it really quite prescient that Zelensky was in DC meeting Joe Biden at the point of the solstice, at this new start kind of energy, this grand cross of saying we are going to change and we are going to set the stall out. And then he did his speech to Congress as well, of course. I like that Ceres is in the 4th house, because that is nourishment and nurturing and moving back into alignment, and Libra is about relationships, significant relationships. I like that the Capricorn energy is over on the descendant. It's kind of saying, you know, we are setting our stall out as these world leaders, and whatever you think of it, doesn't matter. This is what the chart's saying. We are setting our stall out as world leaders, and we are going to back Ukraine to the hilt. Okay. Then Cancer rising means safety and protection and security. We are going to protect democracy. You heard those words. You might not agree with it, but that's the words. That's how they came out. And then Jupiter in Aries, leader, world leader, big world leader. We are going to say we are the world leaders. And so it sets forth. One other thing I want to say about the Ingress chart for DC is that the moon is in Sagittarius, opposing retrograde Mars in Gemini in the 12th house. In another T-square, you can see this T-square to Vesta, which is right at the top of the chart. And Vesta is the hearth of the state and home. And this is in Pisces, which is really kind of the collective unconscious, leader presence of the home. I really kind of think, you know, the US has gone through all this turbulence and turmoil, and I'm not saying all of it is over, but this ingress was really kind of setting the stall out, okay, to move forward. There's a lot more I could say about the chart, but I think this cardinal grand cross for the US is huge. But either way, for you, the cardinal T-square, wherever that is in your chart, is really important. But so is the 0 Cancer point, because that's kind of the empty leg of where the planets are all angled up. So that's actually a real focus. So look where 0 Cancer is for you in your chart, and that's going to be a big focus for this next 3 months or so from this solstice. One thing I did notice as well, though, is that we had 0 Cancer rising for this new year ahead. And on 21st of June 2020, this is 2020, you can't see the 2020 because of, I wonder if I can move this a little bit. Oh, there we go. 21st of June 2020, we had the eclipse at 0 Cancer. So something that was happening in 2020 as we led into the 2020 election is being really kind of doubled down on right now. Okay. And another point to note, a degree that's going to come up over and over again for this next year, is that Saturn, the traditional ruler of Aquarius, was at 0 degrees Aquarius. It was retrograde, and it was in the 10th house. So it feels like we've been rebuilding, shoring up our structures and resources, and so on and so forth. And how interesting that on this solstice as well, we've got the January the 6th full report coming out, the Proud Boys trials starting, all the transcripts of the interviews for the January 6th committee are being released. There's various other things. The GOP seems to really kind of be falling apart, the Republican Party. So, and some of the more moderate Republicans are kind of coming back into the fold, if you like, and saying, no, we uphold democracy, the rule of law, things like that. So I have good hope for all of that, that things are kind of going to settle down and come back, not without more trauma, I'm sure, but anyway. Righto, let's move on. So first of all, for the year ahead, I'm going to give you some dates. You can go back and forth and look at the dates if you like. So these are the Mercury retrogrades. We actually end 2022 with Mercury going retrograde in Capricorn. The Cazimi, which is the midpoint of the retrograde when the Sun and Mercury meet, is going to be at 16 Capricorn 56, which is actually also harking back to January of 2022 and the Venus star point, which was the point where the Venus star point was at 18 Capricorn when Venus became a Capricorn morning star. And right after Venus rose as morning star, the war started in Ukraine, the invasion started in Ukraine. And so I think there's going to be something come on this Cazimi. I know that Zelensky has put forward a peace plan. I don't know the 10 points, but anyway, I think there's going to be some kind of talks or something perhaps come, and some kind of review, but it could also be from the allies on this side. So we'll see. The other thing I want you to notice is that the first retrograde's in Capricorn, the second in Taurus, the third in Virgo, and then we finish 2023 with another Capricorn retrograde. These are all earth signs. So this is what's called an earth elemental year. Before I talk about what that means, I do want to say that the Cazimi in May of the Taurus one is 11 Taurus, which is about where the North Node is right now, and it's the degree that Uranus will station direct at soon. And so that's a bit of a hot degree as well. And this is you know, we've got some financial turbulence around at the moment, and I would not be surprised if the Taurus retrograde brings some more news around financial turbulence. Okay. The Virgo one has less kind of energy around it, I think, but this one, the next solstice, the day after the next solstice, the Cazimi, the midpoint of the retrograde, is at one of those cardinal points, bringing big change, and it's highlighting this solstice's point as well. So, and this new moon that's coming right after the solstice, we have a new moon tonight as I record this. So it's an earth elemental year. So this is going to be more about earthly matters. Last year, 2022, all Mercury retrogrades were in air. There was the hearings, there was a lot of talk, a lot of, you know, interviewing, a lot of thinking, a lot of bills passed as well by, and this would reflect out in other countries too. So Earth is about earthly matters more: structures, values, achievement, creating sustainability, building. As I said, the April retrograde is likely to be especially challenging around financial and sustainability matters, and possibly also supply chain. And the December retrograde has the Mercury Cazimi on the solstice point, so new beginnings again. Okay. So it's all cycles, you know, we're starting this fool's journey, this new beginning, but as you'll see as we move through all the other energies, it's the start of it, but this start is going to be spread out for quite a while. It's not just a moment. I'm going to give you the other retrograde dates. I'm not going to talk about them all, but I do want you to note, firstly, that Pluto will station retrograde on May the 1st at 0 Aquarius. If you remember, Saturn was at 0 Aquarius back on June 21st, 2000. Also, the 0 Aquarius point is the point of the Jupiter-Saturn Great Conjunction that was on December the 21st, 2020, another solstice point. And that actually started 200 years of air, Aquarius being an air sign. We have great conjunctions of Jupiter and Saturn every 20 years. That was starting 200 years of great conjunctions in air signs. Okay, so we really are entering an age of air, and we are entering the age of Aquarius. And so Pluto stations on that 0 degree right then on May the 1st, making that a really hot degree. Okay, and we'll come back to Pluto again. I do want to say that 0 Aquarius degree was also activated on March the 6th, 2022, when Venus and Mars were last conjunct, and then will be activated in a big way again on December the 7th, 2024, when Venus, Ceres and Pluto, which to my reckoning are the whole Demeter, Persephone, Hades story, coming together, the three of them at that 0 Aquarius point, which is the fool's number again, and a real new beginning. So we're getting a series of new beginnings over the next 2 years in a big, big way. The other thing I'll mention is that this Venus, because we have a Venus retrograde, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. We finish up the Mars retrograde, so I'm going to look at those two separate, because Mars and Venus are our personal planets. So whilst these other retrogrades all matter, the slower moving the transpersonal planets, retrogrades don't affect us as much personally. They do impact more collectively, and especially around their state points where they station, direct and retrograde. And throughout the year, of course, I'll talk about those anyway. But let's look at the Mars retrograde first, which we're in right now. Mars stationed retrograde on October the 30th in the sign of Gemini and will station direct on January the 12th. However, Mars has been out of bounds as well, which means he's way off the ecliptic and not only retrograde, but acting very out of character. So there's been a lot of kind of words kind of coming at people, or you putting words towards people, but there have also been a lot of resolution I'm seeing as well through those words, even if the words are angry to start with. And I kind of feel like Mars retrograde in Gemini is saying we need to make new alliances, we need to have these talks, like Zelensky coming to DC. We need to have these negotiations to renegotiate our actions and how we talk to each other. Mars will not leave the post-retrograde shadow period until March the 15th. He will not hit new ground until March the 15th. He's going to be covering that old ground again. But he will move direct on January the 12th, which will start to move things forward. But he's out of bounds until May the 4th, 2023, until right after Pluto, Pluto stations retrograde on May the 1st. On May the 4th, may the 4th be with you, Mars goes finally back in bounds and starts acting more like Mars normally does. So this having Mars out of bounds, retrograde at the start, covering his old ground until March, this provides a bit of a feel of what the start of the year is like. Not only do we have other things, but which I will talk about, but this is a bit frenetic. Mars moving forward, things, especially everything starting on this solstice at 0 and 1 degree. We have a 1 degree Capricorn new moon tonight as I'm recording this on December the 22nd. And so things are going to be moving forward. And as with Mars out of bounds, it's going to feel a little bit out of control. It feels like we've not settled everything yet. But there's more as well, so as you'll see. Now, the Venus retrograde, I'm calling Promethean awakening. Prometheus was the guy that brought the fire from the gods. Richard Tarnas, in his book Cosmos and Psyche, even posits that Uranus, the planet Uranus, should have been called Prometheus because it's Promethean in nature. It brings new discoveries, new innovations. It kind of wakens us up and pushes us towards the future. This Venus retrograde starts on July the 22nd, ends on September the 3rd. The Cazimi, which is the Venus star point in the middle, is on August the 13th at 20 degrees Leo 28. And that Venus star point is square to Uranus in Taurus. Okay. And that is bringing this awakening kind of energy. It's in fixed signs, Leo and Taurus, so it could be a little bit shocking. Okay, it could be a little bit shocking again around the area of finances, money, but also relationships and leadership. So this is really especially going to affect those born in the second half of 59 through 1960, because those people are experiencing a Uranus square as well. That would be me. Now, Leo is leadership, royalty, joy, vitality, the heart. So it's going to affect all those kind of matters. All right. And really, you could see that perhaps King Charles III is being coronated on May the 6th, I believe. right after Mars goes back in bounds and right as we're heading in towards this Venus retrograde. I always think he's a bit of a reformer. Is he going to do more reformation in the monarchy? We'll see, I guess. But it could also bring changes in leadership in all ways. And especially with Mars retrograde in Gemini, there could be changing alliances and so on and so forth. And there's other indicators that things like that could change as well. Okay, but we'll be under the new Libra star until August. And the Libra star, we had the first Libra star since 1879. I got my numbers around. We had the first Libra star since 1879 on October the 22nd. And we are going to have over 100 years, every 8 years of Libra star points. So, well, actually every 4. I talk about all this in my Venus class, about the whole Venus cycle, and also in my Venus enchantment community, we work with the Venus cycle. So we're under that Libra star right now, evening star. And that's an air sign as well, adding to this feeling that we're moving into this age of air. Okay, but this is also echoing a lot of late 18th century energy, and this is being echoed over and over again. Pluto's where it was back at the end of the late 18th century. The Libra star started at the late 18th century, and there's other echoes. And I'll talk more about that in a minute as well. Before I go on, though, I do want to mention a special offer I have on, and it's only on till December the 31st at midnight. My Venus retrograde heroine's journey class is amazing, if I say so myself. I can't take credit for it. Venus told me to do the class. Next summer will be my 5th time of running it, and this class has changed lives, literally. My friend Laurie Lothian would not be an astrologer, and an extremely successful one had she not taken that class. I can't say I didn't do anything to it, because we do it through a mix of astrological teaching and shamanic healing work. Okay, now I have a special offer that those who join my community by the end of this year and remain a member through September next year, or just buy a whole year's membership, it's $23 a month or $253 for a year's membership, will get that class for free. And that class is going to be $297 when I sell it separately in spring of next year. So if you want to be a part of that, come join us. If you like my work, come join us. Not only that, though, I have 2 spare copies of my friend Desiree Robiantilla's book, Sun Signs in Love, to give away. And anybody who's a member of the Venus Enchantment community on December the 31st will be entered into a drawing to win a copy. One can go anywhere in the world and one to the USA only, because shipping worldwide is horrendously expensive. Now, it is called Sun Signs in Love, but having read it, and by the way, my testimonial is on the front page, is it's actually really good for any relationships. You could do it for you and your children. You could do it for you and your partner. If you have a partner, you could do it with your friends, your workmates. So it's not just about romantic love. It's a really good book for all relationships, to be quite honest. So that's my offer. I'm not going to harp on it, but you can see where to join, and there'll be a link in the show notes too. All right, so this is a biggie. We have from January the 22nd to April the 21st, we have all planets direct. That's 89 days. The only exception is Ceres, who will be retrograde from February the 3rd to May the 6th. I do consider Ceres important, but apart from Ceres going retrograde, all the other planets are direct for that whole period, almost 3 months long. Okay, that is going to bring that frenetic forward movement as well as Mars being out of bounds to May the 4th. It's kind of going to be like blowing, you know, like you've gone into G-force, like, oh my God, things are moving so fast. It's kind of blowing my blowing my head off kind of thing. But that's going to be quite exciting. And you'll kind of see that this year coming is a tale of two halves, really kind of fast moving, frenetic energy at the start, and things start to really settle down later in the year. I just did a slide for the other retrogrades. I'm not going to talk about each of them individually, the asteroids and Chiron and so on. But if you can think to April the 21st was the period that all those major planets were direct. Oh, sorry. Chiron doesn't station retrograde till July, so he's direct during that period. Vesta will be direct during that period. Pallas will be direct for most of that period as well. Juno has no retrograde in 2023, so she'll be direct. Hygeia will be direct for the period, all the major planets, are direct. So will Eris, and incidentally, Eris finishes up her time at 23 degrees for over 500 years. She's associated with the energy of number 23, and she had 5 exact, very turbulent squares with Pluto in 2020 and 2021, and we're leaving that behind. Yay. Haumea will be retrograde during the planet's direct period, but these are very outer dwarf planets. Haumea, Sedna, way out there in the Kuiper belt. They're not going to affect us personally too much. They're more involved with the big collective changes going on. And I'm going to look a bit more about them in a minute. The one thing I do want you to note, though, is that Sedna, who I'm going to look at a little bit again in a minute, she stations retrograde on August 31st, 23 at another 0 degree point. And that is 0 degrees of Gemini, which is another air sign. Sedna's dipping into Gemini and back into Taurus. But we're going to get another flavor of what the coming age of air is going to be like. We're really moving into this air age that started on December the 21st, 2021. Then we had the Libra star point, which is air. Now we're getting planets moving into air signs as well. Now, this is the big story for the year ahead. Major planetary ingresses and sign changes. I added Jupiter in this, even though Jupiter's a 12-year orbit, but we are going to get Jupiter moving into Taurus from May the 16th, 2023, after spending the first 5.5 or 4.5 months in Aries, being very forward movement, adding to that fast forward movement. Jupiter's ingress into Taurus is going to slow things down a little bit. After all those planets being direct and everything, Taurus is slow and steady and sustainable. And Jupiter's going to go through all the energy we've been experiencing with the North Node in Taurus. That has been right through 2022 and into half of 2023. Jupiter's going to meet the North Node. Jupiter's going to catch up to Uranus, and we're going to get this thing about our values, our sustainability, our money, and an opportunity to build on what we already have. A bigger ingress is that Saturn, who has a 29 to 30 year cycle, 28 to 30 years, depending on retrogrades, Saturn will move into Pisces on March the 7th, 2023. And he'll be in Pisces till May the 24th, 2025, and then dip back in again from August 31st, 25 to February 30th, 2026. So that's a longer journey in a sign. And we'll look at what that means in a minute. But we're going to, we're going to move with Jupiter from fire to earth, and then we're going to move from air to water with Pisces. But I'm looking forward to Saturn in Pisces, and we'll talk more about what that means in a minute. Another ingress, huge, huge, huge. These get bigger as we go along, is Pluto moving into Aquarius. Pluto will move into Aquarius for the first time since the early 18th century, 19th century, 1800s. But he'll only be there from March the 23rd until June the 11th. But we're going to get a flavor of what Pluto in Aquarius is going to be bringing us. And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute too. Air sign Aquarius. Haumea, planet of birth and creation, has already moved into Scorpio, but is going to move back into Libra and then fully go back into Scorpio on October the 1st, 2023. And will be in Scorpio until 2049. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Lastly, another big sign change, which I briefly mentioned before, is Sedna, that has an 11,408-year orbit, is moving into Gemini on June the 15th, 2023. He said that she will only be in Gemini in 2023 until November the 22nd. So for that period from June the 15th to November 22nd, we'll start to get a flavor of what Sedna in an air sign might mean. So a little bit about what they might mean. Jupiter in Taurus, opportunities to create abundance through patience and practicality, a more sustainable life, continuing the theme of the period with the North Node in Taurus. And as I said, the two, the North Node and Jupiter, that is, are conjunct on June the 1st, 2023, bringing a real push towards that sustainable future. Saturn in Pisces, what might that bring? Grounded spirituality, practical idealism, contemplative and purposeful. Saturn will be in a sign conjunction with Neptune for the whole time it's in the sign of Pisces, but the two do not actually meet until February the 20th, 2026 at 0 degrees Aries, one of those cardinal points again. And Pisces is the last of the signs. It is, but it's also the womb of creation. So Saturn's journey with Neptune in Pisces is going to kind of, Saturn brings clarity. Saturn can put the brakes on. Saturn brings rules, and Saturn can bring real grounding. I think Saturn gets a really bad rap in astrology a lot of the time. I love Saturn. But I think this could perhaps ground people into reality and help them to see sense, common sense, where they've perhaps been, deluded or not seen things clearly. I'm sure you get the idea of what I'm talking about a little bit. People are suddenly going to get a bit of a reality check and going to go, oh, okay. I was kind of had the wool pulled over my eyes, or I had a big haze of fog in front of my eyes for a while there. I could not see clearly what was going on. I think Saturn in Pisces is going to bring some clarity to people over time. It will take time, because Saturn is time as well. And as you can see, it's at least a 2-year journey through the sign. So remembering that Saturn dips back into Pisces again. Now Pluto in Aquarius, biggie. Okay, we're going to get that. What is it? March 23rd to June the 11th. March, almost 3 months, but not even that. Flavor of what Pluto in Aquarius is going to be like. Now, most astrologers agree with these things, but massive transformation in technology and humanitarianism, potential for clean energy, and lots of new deep discoveries, and rapid discoveries. Artificial intelligence is going to increase for good or bad, you know, or both. I think there's going to be a change in balance of power, remembering that Aquarius is opposing Libra, the sign of leadership and power and royalty. And Aquarius is the more humanitarian sign, the more egalitarian. And I think there'll be changes in alliances. Pluto transforms and changes things and digs up what's not working. So, you know, there could be changes in the EU, in the Commonwealth, and in the USA itself. One thing I found interesting, thanks to Jessica Adams, a British astrologer, is that Boudica, Empress Zoe, and Queen Elizabeth I all found power in Pluto and Aquarius. So will there be a rise of female leadership? I think there could be new constitutions, and the final move into Aquarius is November the 19th, 2024. So we're just getting a flavor of what's coming from the end of 2024, which was going to be a major turning point. And Pluto will then be in Aquarius till 2043. Haumea I mentioned briefly. Haumea is that planet of birth and creation. She has already moved into Scorpio, which is a really fertile composting sign and associated with reproduction and reproductive matters. I kind of think that Haumea is helping us to birth the new paradigm. She last moved into Scorpio in 1743, so there's that late 18th century again, all right? And Sedna moving into Gemini, big age of air. She's going to be finally move into Gemini on April the 27th, 2024, but she was last here at the end of the Great Ice Ages, when people moved to an agrarian lifestyle and farming and more local community, which is very Gemini. So I think there's going to be something come back in those areas, you know, maybe communities with free power and things like that. Yeah, you get the idea. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Other things we have going on are the eclipses. The lunar nodes change signs this year. The nodal ingress will move backwards from Taurus and Scorpio. So we had a north node, Venus ruled Taurus, south node, Mars ruled Scorpio. In July, on July 17th exactly, the nodes will move back into Aries and Libra. So we're going to have a Mars ruled north node in Aries and a south node in Libra, which is Venus ruled, but it's Mars and Venus again. So they're kind of swapping places. Now, interestingly, the two pairs of eclipses in 2023, we have a solar hybrid eclipse and a lunar penumbral eclipse on in April and May. They're both Mars ruled. Then in October, the two eclipses, the solar annular eclipse and lunar partial eclipse, are both Venus ruled. So we've got this whole Venus-Mars dance, moving with the nodes, moving with the eclipses all year, but we're moving more towards Venus. Now, in another you cannot make this stuff up kind of thing, I chose this picture for these eclipses and for the nodes shifting signs. This is Venus and Mars, and this is called, and I'd never seen this painting before, so you know, this was kind of one of those things. This is called Allegory of Peace by Louis-Jean Francois Legrene, and he painted this in 1770. And 1771 was when we had that first Libra star that we're under right now. So harking back to that late 18th century again, which was a period where we started the Industrial Revolution, a lot of new ideas and inventions. There was kind of a renaissance. We had revolutions, new countries, new alliances, all that kind of stuff starting back then. we're kind of getting echoes of it now. Now, every time is different. History doesn't repeat, it rhymes, but you get the idea. So much going on. And I found it amazing that I chose that picture, then looked at when it was painted, and then looked at the name, called Allegory of Peace. I have great hope that we are moving into a more peaceful time. So, fingers crossed. Paradigm shifting aspects for the year. We don't have a huge amount of aspects. You know, we do have some challenges, but the last 3 years we were under that Pluto Eris square, which was so disruptive. And then we had the Saturn Uranus square, which was so disruptive. Both those squares are separating now. Their influence is waning, all that discord that was caused. The most discordant aspects this year are kind of very concentrated. On July 23rd, 25th, and 28th, we have 3 exact squares of Pluto to the lunar nodes. The lunar nodes will be in they move backwards, so they move to the 29th degree of Aries and Libra, and Pluto will square them. And incidentally, that means Pluto will square that Venus star point as well. And remember, Pluto transforms. Pluto is really the tower card. He kind of destroys and rebuilds. And Pluto takes away what you thought was your power and leaves you with what is your truly power. This is at the anaretic degree. The last one is 2 minutes off the anaretic degree. The 29 degrees is the last degree of Capricorn. But this is really doubling down. One of my friends, after attending yesterday, said, oh, it just feels like Pluto's dipping back in to finish something up and to kind of clean up the mess and the mop up. And a square to the nodes is always a pivotal point. It's taking us away from our past towards the future. Okay, so that's going to be a really interesting square. Now, I've given you the exact dates. Pluto is a very big energy. He's going to be square the nodes for a while around those dates, but the 3 exact ones are in July, so that could be a month to remember. Another square that we've got is Jupiter is going to square Pluto, but that one is before Pluto moves back into Capricorn. On May the 17th, 2023, that's going to activate that 0 degree Aquarius point again. Jupiter just moved into Taurus. Pluto stationing retrograde at 0 degrees Aquarius. Jupiter expands everything. We're really going to get a big picture of where this is going, and there's going to be a bit of tension there between, do we want things the same or do we want real change for the future? Another aspect I found worth noting, and I noticed this when Uranus went retrograde, and that should say 2022. Uranus went retrograde on August 24th, 2022 at 18 degrees 55 minutes of Taurus. On May the 9th, 2023, the Sun and Uranus conjunct at 18 degrees 56 minutes. In other words, Uranus has gone direct, recovered his retrograde degrees, finally just entered new ground, and he starts a new cycle with the biggest sunlight of all, the Sun and Uranus going, time to wake up, time to start something big, innovative, fool's journey. Remember, Uranus, the fool's journey. Okay. Oh, incidentally, I did do the chart for that Jupiter square to Pluto, but just look at all that Taurus energy. Sustainability is going to be a big feature around that period. Okay, just so you know. And that's when Mercury, around the time Mercury goes retrograde in the sign of Taurus as well. He's not retrograde yet, but wow, look at that Taurus energy. It's big. Other paradigm shifting aspects are one that was started already. Jupiter opposing series. It's on the solstice. It's a continuing opposition right now. They're never really moving away from an opposition till they oppose each other exactly at 6 Aries and Libra on February the 5th. It started on the last sign, Pisces and Virgo, the practical mystic sign, and then moved into Aries Libra. So we're bringing in that Mars Venus energy again in a sign of Jupiter and Ceres, brother and sister, coming to some agreement about where we're going for the future. They will also meet again on October the 16th by opposition at 12 degrees Taurus and Scorpio. And that's going to echo memories of the eclipse season we're just coming out of. As I record this, the nodes are at 12 degrees Taurus and Scorpio. So something's going to come to fulfillment and fruition then. The other one worth mentioning is the Sun is now square series today as I record this on the equinox, exactly 3 months later. The Sun is going to oppose Ceres at that 0 degree mark again, emphasizing that energy of the Fool's Journey, new beginnings. We're really not going to recognize the world in a few months, to be quite honest. The pace of change is picking up and the world is going to look very different, especially by the end of 2024. Okay, but next year we're really bringing it in. Other paradigm shifting aspects worth noticing, just want to talk about them, these are big collective ones, is that Pluto is going to square Haumea. And Pluto is death and rebirth, and Haumea is birth and fertility. I've already talked about both changing signs. They are going to have this ongoing square, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 squares between now and 2028. Okay, now it's all going to be in apart from July the 7th 27th 2023, it's all going to be in the signs of Aquarius and Scorpio. That July one, that's going back to when Pluto's squaring the nodes, right? That's that Pluto finishing, cleaning up, mopping up what something he's forgotten. Okay. But the other squares are all going to be in Aquarius, Scorpio, and bringing in that age of air, birthing the age of air, it feels like, birthing massive transformation. Incidentally, the last square is at 6 Aquarius Scorpio in 2028, and that's on the nodes of the USA. The south node is at 6 Aquarius, the north node at 6 Scorpio. So, oh no, the north node is at 6 Leo, sorry. But they this is going to be on the south node of the USA. The USA, I'm confident, is going to look very different in the next few years. I think, you know, there could be some states may break off. I don't know how it's going to look, but it's going to transform. The other one worth mentioning is one that's going to happen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, is Pluto trine Sedna. Remember, Sedna has that big orbit, 11,408 years. She's associated with big cycles of climate change. I like this one, the trine. I like that it moves from Capricorn, Taurus into earth signs, into air signs, Aquarius and Gemini. I think this bodes really well for the development of things like clean energy and so on and so forth. Hope I'm right. One last mention of my Venus Retrograde Heroines Journey class offer. I'm not going to repeat it all again, but there's the book giveaway. And if you join by the end of the year and stay a member, you'll get my Venus class for free. And honestly, everybody who's done my Venus class comes back to do it again. So it's worth doing. And that's it from me. Here's where else you can find me. You're watching me on YouTube, so you know where that is. So the podcast is also available on Audible. This isn't going on audio. Sorry, audio. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. And if you would like to buy me a coffee if you enjoy my work, well, if you don't join my community, that is, consider donations and buying me a coffee for the holidays. You can scan that QR code or go to Buy Me a Coffee Cosmic Owl. I'll put the link in the show notes, and just send me a little holiday tip. I put a lot of effort into all these videos, and I hope you appreciate them. And I put a lot of effort into my daily posts every day of the year on my Facebook and Instagram, and under the community tab on YouTube. So consider sending me a coffee. I love coffee. All right then, so that's it for today. Have a happy Christmas. There is going to be a oh, I'm not able to get out of it. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that we are. I didn't know where I'd gone for a second. There is going to be a premiere of my full Cancer full moon video that's available tomorrow, so come and join me in the chat for that. But otherwise, enjoy this 2023 preview, and I will see you in 2023 or next week before, whenever. Bye.